Remember to ask raise your hand if you want to ask a question to get started. Joey, you want to kick us off today?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me, Coach?
Yes, sir, Joey.
Okay. Coach, so far this season you faced Jaron Hall and Anthony Richardson, and I guess to some degree Quentin at Howard, and now you have another challenging quarterback to defend in Malik Cunningham. What are his characteristics? What do you have to do to stop this guy, Malik Cunningham?
He's really talented. I mean, he's got great experience. He's been starting there for a long, long time. I think he came in the middle of the 2019 season, been playing ever since. He's a true dual threat guy. He can make plays with his arm and his feet. Do not underestimate his ability to pass, and do not underestimate his speed. Probably be the best athlete on the field when he's on the field. He's most dangerous, I think, whenever he improvises and just makes things happen. They utilize him in the high and low red zone as a runner. He's their leading rusher this year. He's got a couple quarterback draw runs for touchdowns and big moments. When he does scramble, he does look to throw, but he also has the ability to scramble and make plays with his feet. As I said, he's a really, really, talented football player, and we're always, we're going to have to contain him. And when he scrambles, we have to have people, when you're a spy on him or whatever your responsibility is, we got to keep our rush lane integrity. Our players in coverage have to keep their zone integrity. If you're in man-to-man, you got to stay locked on your guy, and everybody has to do their job. And it's going to take all 11 men on the field to do a good job defending Malik Cunningham.
And one more, if I could, your defensive performance at Florida, what did you like, and what are some areas you think you need to get better in?
Yeah, I'll talk about it. It's like after the BYU game, everybody told us how bad we were. So I said, hey, that's behind us. So I feel like the Florida game too. Everybody's saying now, hey, what a great effort, this, that, and the other thing, and it was a great effort. But we're on Wednesday of Louisville week, so we're all focused on Louisville. But I will say this. I mean, I think two things. I thought we played exceptionally hard, and that was positive. And I thought the way we came out in the second half and I think it went punt, interception, punt, interception in the first 4 drives of the second half was really good. I mean, that was really kind of my vision for how we're capable of playing. I think I've told the team the most positive thing to me is I think we might have become a team after that game on Saturday, which are things that hopefully we can carry moving forward. I mean, we made, I got to give all the credit to the assistant coaches and to the players. We made an adjustment at halftime, a simple one, but an adjustment nonetheless. And I don't know if it didn't happen very much in the second half, but for some reason, the players, there's no panic, there's no anxiety, and the coaches on the field and the players really did a good job, handling the tempo, the second half, situations, and made the adjustments necessary to get us back in the game and have a chance to win at the end.
Leo Haggerty.
Coach, I asked you last week if it's 21-17 at half, you would be happy. You're in it till the last drive of the game. How big of a plus is that to build on for Louisville?
Like I said, I think that the most positive thing that came out of it is I think we became a team. I mean, I sensed that guys pulling for one another, the energy, the enthusiasm of the sideline. The theme for the game on our side when I talked to the unit was, do we want to be a group of individuals wearing cool, icy white jerseys, or do we want to be a team? And I think specifically the second half of the game, we became a team. I mean, Antonio Greer really played well. Boyles had a big interception. AB came up big in the red zone. And there was no bitching, no moaning. The guys were, you're supporting one another, supporting the offense, supporting the special teams. And, it was a tough game. And, I just hope we can carry that mindset moving forward. And if so, I think we have a chance to be a very successful team throughout the rest of the season.
Coach, a quick follow-up to that. Doing it in a hostile environment, there probably is no worse place, maybe LSU or Clemson, than Florida on a Saturday night. How much does that help going to Louisville knowing, hey, we can do this on the road?
Like I said, I mean, I could sense, I don't know. Yeah, it was a great environment. It was a really fun environment for our coaches and our student athletes. And you know, those are once in a life memories. And like I told the guys, you know, I probably won't ever forget that game, but probably not for the reasons people might think. You know, great, it was a close game, but we still lost. And there was reasons that we lost that we got to get corrected. But my memories will be Jatorian Hansford, you know, never having played 3 technique in a game and stepping inside and playing D tackle. Antonio Greer, who'd been injured for the first 2 games, showing what a good player he is. My memories will be Tamarcus Simpson starting his first football game. You know, things along those lines will be the things that I remember about that game and that night. And like I said, I mean, I'd like to think that, you know, especially based on how we stepped up a little bit and played a little bit better in the second half of the game, you know, that there'll be some confidence moving forward. And, you know, the venue, I don't think, for whatever reason, I don't think our players get too jacked up, you know, about, you know, where they're playing. I mean, we play in a nice stadium. We play where the Tampa Bay Bucks play. I mean, the Swamp is awesome. You know, Louisville Cardinal Stadium is really cool too. I mean, and noontime start, I want to see how we adjust to that more than the environment. I mean, it's a different start. Most of our games have been, I think, where we had 4:30, 7 o'clock, 7 o'clock. Now we're going with a noontime start. So it'll be, you know, on the road and adjustment along those lines. And, you know, it's just follow the routine and do your job and prepare like you're supposed to prepare. And we have enough veterans on this team that have played in very neat environments and at the same time played in big games. So I think we'll be ready to go at 12 o'clock noon on Saturday.
JJ
Thanks,
Garrett.
Coach.
Hey, good morning, Coach. A couple questions. First one is, you didn't see as much of a design run for Richardson. Do you expect to see more design runs with Cunningham?
Yeah, probably. You know, I think Florida, you know, their backup quarterback's hurt. And, you know, I think they had confidence in their offensive line. And I think that they had, you know, confidence. You know, I think they felt after the Kentucky game that, you know, whether it be rightly or wrongly, I think they felt if they didn't turn the ball over, they probably win somewhat handily. And because their backup quarterback's hurt, I think there's a little less designed runs for Richardson right now for them, you know, because I think it just is what it is. Mm-hmm. You know, as I said, Louisville does a great job. They have good running backs. They have good tight ends and receivers. They have a good offensive line. The quarterback's their best player. He's the best athlete on the field. And I've seen him in some design run stuff. I think he's even more dangerous in the non-design run stuff when he freelances, when he scrambles around, when he just keeps it on his own read and things along those lines. They do run some quarterback draws in key situations. He had a long run for touchdown on a quarterback draw in both the last 2 games against Florida State and against Central Florida. So in the high red zones where they used him a lot on that stuff, he's their leading rusher, you know, so I don't see any reason why they'll go away from that formula.
Yes, sir. And then last question, it's more of a technique style question. I noticed it quite a few times, and I'm not sure if you did, but on Saturday, I noticed like more receivers running freely through the zones and like finding somewhere to sit or whatever. Is that more of the players not getting hands on, or is that just taught?
Well, I mean, they were 11 for 18 passing for 112 yards. So, I mean, I thought, you know, we played a lot of man-to-man on Saturday because we wanted to load up the box. If guys are running free through zones, I assure you that it's not being taught that way. If guys are, if those guys are finding holes in zones, I mean, in zone coverage, there's 3 areas of zone coverage. There's the deep area. We certainly don't want the ball thrown over our head. There's the intermediate area, which is the area between the deep coverage and the under coverage. And that's where quarterbacks attempt to throw through windows. And then there's the kill zone, 5 yards from the line of scrimmage and 5 yards from the sideline. And when we're in zone, that's ultimately where we want the ball thrown. And then we want to rally to it. In man, you have a player, a player man-to-man, so, I mean, we never want to pass up an opportunity to collision a receiver. We want to knock people off. I think one of the most annoying things to a receiver would be to be banged around a little bit. And a lot of times, there are you can't defend everything and you can't defend anything. You have to react to certain things. So, we certainly need to be tighter in our zone coverage. I actually thought we played pretty good zone coverage. It's probably the most zone coverage that we did play a lot of man, but in past situations, we did play some zone coverage and we got some key third down stops because of that. They were 3 for 8 on third down. 1 was a short yardage and 2 were scrambles by the quarterback. So, we definitely have a long way to go. Don't get me wrong. And I don't mean to diminish the question. if guys are open in zones, that is never by design. I mean, it's certainly not intended for guys to be wide open. It's just kind of you caught me off guard with that one.
No, like you said, it's a reaction. So, but I do appreciate it, Coach.
Yeah.
Will Turner.
I would have expected a question like that from Will.
Jeez. How would you assess your defensive line play through these first 3 games?
We need more. I mean, we need a little more productivity. I think of the sacks that we have, I think only Hansford's the only D-line with a sack. The tackles for loss have come from all 3 levels, but the effort's there. I mean, like I said, I mean, my memory from last Saturday won't be the score of the game or anything along those lines 10 years from now. I'll sit there and think about the fact that Torrey Hansford, stepped in and played 3 technique in a moment that, he'd never played there before. There was Eddie Kelly's first start and him chasing, Richardson around and putting good pressure on him. Things like that are what I'll remember. Nick Baggs really stepped up and played well. And like we expected Nick Baggs to play, guys stepping up when Yates got hurt. So that was good. Cheney battling, throughout the course of the game. Things along those lines. Logan, Vaughn, Jonathan Ross, all contributing to a certain extent. So, yeah, I think we're still work in progress up there for sure. And we haven't gotten to league play yet, but we need more out of that group. And I think Daquan Bowers now kind of understands that we need to rotate a little bit more, keep guys fresh. And like I said, I'm excited to watch as we move on to the second quarter of the season against Louisville this Saturday, see how those guys play.
Sounds like there's a good chance that Christian Williams could be back this week, as Coach Scott said yesterday. How much of a boost it would be getting him back to that room?
We'll see if he comes back. I mean, it would be Christian Williams, a really talented player. He's a starting cornerback for us. So, I mean, when we get Christian back, that'll be awesome. I mean, he's, it'll enable us to maybe juggle some guys around and get some guys into different positions and get our 5 best players on the field in some way, shape, or form. I mean, that's the truth of the matter. I mean, before the Florida game, Greer had played a total of 20 snaps, just 12 snaps, I think. Matt Hill played a total of 15 snaps. So to get those guys back this weekend gave us a little bit of a boost. Not that Curry hadn't played well and DJ Gordon hadn't played well, but we needed all hands on deck. And, TJ Robinson was starting at safety. And when Christian went down, we felt it was in our best interest to play he and AB at corner. And I want to say this, I think he and AB both played outstanding on Saturday. But I mean, if we're able to get Christian in there and play TJ some at safety, that makes us a little bit more athletic in the secondary and gives us a little bit more depth all the way around. So that'd be a real positive step for us.
Thanks, Coach.
Joey Johnston.
Back to Joey.
Coach, what were the circumstances that made you put Jatorian in at 3 technique?
He was the most qualified player for the job. I mean, really, I mean, I think everybody understands we have a little bit of depth issues up front. And we put him in practice on Tuesday and Wednesday last week and liked what he was doing and felt like we had a little bit more. Eddie Kelly come along and was doing really well. And Eddie played almost the entire game the other night. So we said, you know what? It's like in the secondary, we just talked about playing our best 4 or 5 guys. Maybe up front, we said, I know that we might be compromising a little bit of size here, but these might be our best 4 guys. Jatorian's strong. He's explosive. He comes off on the ball. By no means did he play perfect, but he played hard. And Eddie Kelly, I mean, man, that guy just finds the ball. I mean, he's around the ball all the time. And by no means, he's not playing with great technique, great fundamentals. Man, I think in a year or two, he's going to be very special. And, so when Yates was unable to throw in the game, we just thought it was in our best interest to play our best players. And we felt in this case, our best players were putting Hansford in there at 3 technique. And let me say this, I'll say it again. Cheney's played a lot of snaps, and Nick Baggs played his most extensive play of the year on Saturday. And the guys on the sideline were telling me, and I've seen it this week in practice, we're seeing the Nick Baggs in the last 6-7 days that we expected to see when we went to the portal and really fought hard to get him. He's really played with great spirit and energy Saturday night and was fairly productive. And he's had a really, really good week of practice. So that's going to help out up front as well. And, we can't wait to get Yates back. And, when he's back, we'll adjust accordingly.
Yeah. Thanks, Coach.
JJ Garrett.
One more from me, Coach.
Yeah,
We
sure.
expect the tempo out of Louisville, and it seemed like we struggled a bit week one versus BYU. What type of difference can we see this week?
Well, I mean, we saw tempo from Howard and Florida too, and I'm not saying we were perfect, but we were better. So, I mean, we've worked it in practice. We've emphasized, the theme of the day that I said was I think we became a team rather than just a group of guys wearing cool white uniforms out there. So, I mean, I think we're operating better. I think our overall operation is better from communication from coaches to coaches and coaches to players. Louisville's tempo is a little bit different than BYU's tempo. I mean, we'll be prepared for it. And, like we started calling, the unit started calling themselves the Green Swarm. We want to introduce the world to the first no huddle tempo defense. We want to be lined up, looking them in the face and ready to rock and roll. And we're going to take very, very good pride in being able to handle tempo and handle the things that the teams do. I mean, a tempo to me is, it's like when someone asks you, what's 2 + 2? It's obvious it's 4. When they say it real fast, what's 2 + 2? And you start, what'd you say? That's what tempo means. I mean, it's simple plays. Offenses are generally running fairly simple plays in tempo situations, but they're doing it at such a rapid pace, that your players are thinking rather than reacting and playing. And even Florida got us in one of the touchdowns down in the low red zone. They came out a little funny huddle and then ran out of the line of scrimmage and came out in a formation. And there's all kinds of challenges. Offensive coaches are more creative today than ever before. Our offensive coordinator included and at the top of the list right there. But and it's our job as defensive coaches to get our guys lined up, get them in position, get their cleats in the ground, get their eyes in the right spot, and execute a fundamentally sound defense at the snap of the ball.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate it. We'll get Coach Trickett in.
Thanks, guys.
All right. We'll take questions for Coach Trickett. Leo, go ahead and start us off.
Coach, I asked you last week, if it's 21-17 at half, don't care who's got the lead, you're in the game. You're in the game till the last drive. How important is that to build on for Louisville?
That's just important to build on for us, period. Because if you look back, and we've done this each week, but week one was just not staying on the field. I felt good about what we had, but didn't stay on the field on third down. Just some uncharacteristic things. Come out versus Howard, try to push the ball downfield. Didn't connect on some things, but got better, but wasn't what we needed it to be. Then this week you're going against opponent, or the last week against bigger, stronger, faster than you. So then you're like, okay, all right. And then you got a couple guys down that are really good players. That, all right, so what can we do to manufacture what we need to manufacture? And thought the guys played hard. They had confidence. They believed they were going to win. They were locked in the whole time. And that's so big. It's so huge. And the number one thing is it just can't go away now. That's got to be the standard of just the knowing what you can be. But then now there's got to be a hunger to want that every week, every day, and want that success and believe that that's coming. When you step the field, we're going to score. We want to go overtime, cool. We should have not got to overtime. We should have handled it in the regulation, but if we want to go overtime, we'll get it in the end zone. And I felt like the guys had that feeling. And so, as coaches, you could preach about it. I mean, I preached about it from the day I got here, but they've got to see it and believe it. And they felt it during scrimmages, but to do it, on the road at that opponent was a good step forward. So the number one thing now is we got to build off of it and take the next step and just keep taking steps. Because if you don't take steps, it don't matter. And you're going to take a step forward or backwards. It's 1, 2. You can't say the same.
Coach, if I'm a Louisville coach, I don't have to look at film to see that Weaver is getting almost half the targets. Got to spread that ball around a little bit, don't you?
Yeah, we had some things dialed up. We've had some at-bats for some guys, we just happens to come down with it a good bit. And sometimes defense gives it to them. You actually should have had a couple more based on the coverages they were playing. But yeah, no, it's at bats for guys. Again, we've got to make sure our route details are what they need to be. And we got some young guys learning on that. Like Coach talked about on the pick six. We got a young wideout, Holden Willis is going to be a really good player. guys inside leverage. He's got to attack his leverage with the route. Just can't push up. Now that DB's got that drive on it, ball's got to go there. But those are little things where, you get your at-bats, you got to make contested catches. But yeah, like I said, we're going to make sure it's a two-part series because you sit there and say, all right, well, like that's like the last play or the first play of that second to last drive or that last drive where, we took a shot down sideline to OD there. And, we just got to connect on some things. So we're going to do what's structurally there. We're also going to make sure our best players touch the ball because, again, if they're not touching it, then everyone's like, hey, well, he's the best guy you got. Why isn't he touching it? So it's a good problem to have when you got some guys that are worthy of touching it. So, but right now I think we're a little banged up. We got to make sure that we, the guys that we got can go out there and play. So, but yeah, I'll disagree with you.
Joey Johnston.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck Saturday.
Thank you.
Hey, Coach, we just talked to Coach Shoop, and he said on defense, his overall takeaway was he felt like everybody felt like, hey, we became a team today with the way we played. So when you look at your offense, you guys were daring, you attacked, you were unafraid, you did what you did. I mean, regardless of the results, stylistically, is that your offense? Is that what you want to put on the field? That type of attitude that you guys brought?
For sure. I mean, it sounds terrible, but we were trying to do the same thing the first two games. It's just at the end of the day, we connected on some stuff. We converted on third down was the number one thing, and we were able to stay on the field and allow our guys to have at-bats. Game one, like we just converted on third down, felt like we were going to do the same thing, attack. Game two, we did attack, we just didn't connect. We got to do a better job of that. We got to get that. We do a good job in practice, but we got to connect on Saturdays. But yes, like it. I don't think you play the game scared nowadays. I say that the old school way of just hey this hey it's I don't disagree. Sometimes you got to take quarterback sneak. That kind of stuff. Get under center, do some things. 100%. But you also got to know what you're up against sometimes. So if it's an advantage for us to go big on big, then we're going to do it. And we feel confident we're going to do it. But when you got a 420-pound nose guard in there and a 290-pound center, it's probably good to go outside. That's such that example. But yeah, we want to be an attacking offense, and we're going to make sure we feed our best players and do what we do best, but also try to put the defense in binds. And make them think and communicate, and so we can just go out and play, and that's been a good recipe for us so far. We got to continue to do that, but no, that's who we want to be. That's what we've been trying to be the whole time, but it just showed up a little bit better on this past Saturday.
And Coach, one more thing, if I could, Coach Shoop alluded to it too. You played 3 games mostly under the lights. Obviously a huge atmosphere in Gainesville under the lights. Now you go to Louisville and you're at noon, a little bit of a different schedule. Is it an issue? Is it a point this week to make sure you guys are geared up for a little bit of a different feel, for the game this week?
We practice it at 9 a.m. So hopefully we're kind of used to it, but it is different. It is different, especially when you play that. I think it's harder on afternoon practice teams probably sometimes. You hope so, at least. But it has been a trend, like these noon games, like the team that's ready to play is very evident. And that's something that where I was before, we played a lot of noon games. We had a ton of noon games. And I just remember those the pregame meals at 8 a.m. and you're like, oof, so, but yeah, that is hopefully I'm hoping that we start in the morning every day is something that's not big of a change for our guys.
Thanks.
Lanny?
Hi, Trickett. How you doing?
Doing good. How you doing?
Good. So I have 2 questions for you. So my first one is, one of the things that I had noticed that were huge on Saturday's game was feeding the ball to Battie was certainly where the magic was happening. And then second of all, Gary Bohannon running a lot more than usual. How were you able to prepare them for those scenarios, and what was working in that offense?
Yeah, so I'd say, Brian Battie's had a done a great job. He really stepped up in that game and, did a great job. I'm still giving crap for getting ran down by a linebacker on the 4th and 1, but linebacker's pretty fast. But what I'd say is Bad's done a great job. He's been a really good practice player. It showed up. He's earned those reps, and so, but we got a good backfield. I said that's the spring ball. We got a lot of good players back there. And Kelly Jordan's not even out there for us yet still. He's coming back. And so, but yeah, Brian's done a great job. And that's one of those things when you get a feel for, the hot hand, you give it to him, but you can't go the whole time. You got to change the pace. And Jaron did some really good stuff in there. And Mikey Duke's been really good for us too. Like he got a 3rd down conversion was big and scored the touchdown and did some good things too. Gary, we had some opportunities for him to run them game 1. We just never got to it because we just weren't. We couldn't stay on the field offensively. Game 2, didn't feel like we really wanted to run him that much in that game. So try to stay away from that and just do stuff where we felt like we could do some things to push the ball down the field and be more aggressive that way. But when you play a team that's bigger, stronger, faster than you, you got to do some different things to try to move the ball. And that was an aspect where whenever the quarterback front the ball, it's an advantage. But, it's a long season too. You can't just pound him 20 times a game and expect him to be there at the end of the season, So it's one of those things that you got to pick your times, and have that bad. But as the game went, you felt like how it was going. We gave him some opportunities that plays that were it's on 1-2 plays. You need to go here, he can keep it here and stuff like that. So, but he's done a good job with that. So we got to continue to build off of our success that we had on Saturday and this next one.
And then my final question for you is looking at Louisville, what is your biggest concern that they have defensive-wise?
So last week was probably the most talented team we play as far as size and speed. Biggest team, big, they're big. This week, they're big and strong and fast. They've done a very good job recruiting D-lines. They're probably more disruptive. Very aggressive, very disruptive up front, a lot of movement, a lot of pressures, a lot of negative plays, TFLs and sacks, I think like 10 sacks on the season or something like that, some TFLs. So they're a more disruptive defense than what we played against last week. So we got to make sure we have a good plan for that and execute it, and try to dictate best we can. They do a good job of not letting you dictate what they're in a good bit. So it's going to be, I have the utmost respect for their coaching staff. I think they do a great job. It's not an easy, clean defense to go against. This guy's going to be here. That's not the case. So we got to be on our P's and Q's but also be ready to go attack and play fast because it's going to be a battle again.
That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Will Turner.
Good afternoon, Coach. I got a chance to actually see Louisville live against UCF a couple weeks ago. One thing that I took away from that game was they are very capable to giving up the big play. More times than that night they give up a big run. Just, how important are those connecting on some of those longer plays going to be in this one?
Oh, yeah. They're big in every game because if you connect, it changes everything, right? When you play disruptive defense, like they got, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. And they've been living by it for the majority of it. They're very, when you're disruptive, that you're susceptible to that. Where more sometimes when you're a little bit more safe and back, you bend a little bit more, but you don't break. And I'm not saying they do a good job of, knowing where their weaknesses are and play to that. They just, the more aggressive you get, that's just the dice you roll. Same thing on offense. Like you can be aggressive, push the ball downfield. If you connect, great. But if you don't, then it's second and whatever it may be. Same thing with run game. You can do some different stuff, but if they bring it on you, it may be a -4 instead of a gain of 20. So that's the life they want to live, and we got to have a plan for it, and it's a challenge. It's a challenge. Not much sleep behind these eyes right now. So it'll be a good challenge for our guys and our staff.
I feel like it's most weeks you're not sleeping.
That's right.
with Jimmy, obviously, kind of nursing that ankle back. What was your I guess, strategy of trying to ease him back in? Because I know you don't want to have a situation where, like the BYU wideout who came in a little bit hurt and then gets hurt and then he's out for 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah. He scored a touchdown before he got hurt. I know that. I'll say the BYU wideout, that is. What? Yeah, Jimmy's a great player. He's electric, and we got stuff for him every week. And then when you don't think he's going to be there and not available, and then you got, all right, then we got to make sure here's our plan to do this. And because then every rep matters after that. You got to make sure you get the stuff those guys are in play. And if he's available, then, then great. We weren't very optimistic about Jimmy playing this past weekend. He felt like on Saturday he could go a little bit. So it's just a wait and see there. But again, if he's on the field, he's a threat. I mean, if he's on the field, he's an absolute threat. Him and 10, they're really good players. And I think we got some other really good wideouts too, don't get me wrong. But, Jimmy's just lightning in the bottle. So when he's full go, again, he'll get fed. It's just a matter of making sure he's able to do that. Because it's a long season too now. Like saying you got to be smart. Like you alluded to. And all of a sudden, BYU's playing these games, the conference games, and they don't have a couple of their best players with them. So that's the decisions you got to make at the head coach's seat, not necessarily my seat.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
JJ Garrett.
Hey, good afternoon, Coach.
Good.
Couple questions. How would you grade Gary's first 3 games so far?
Gritty. Definitely gritty. Has operated the offense pretty good. It's gotten better each week. It's much better. Like the biggest game 1, third down, we had our room had to be better. And I mean, I've got to prepare him better and make sure he's set on that. Ball went the right places against Howard. We got to connect, give guys chances. When guys get chances, got to come down with it. But as far as decision making, his decisions were on point. This past game, he only missed 1 read. Then you wish the ball went somewhere else. But he was decisive, drop back, pressure comes, run, first down, drop back, pressure comes, step up, got to his 3rd read, did it down, got to his check down a couple times. So there's progression there, which I'm fired up about. I'm a hard grader. It's probably not a good question to ask me. And I'm hard on him. Like I don't let anything be easy, but he's progressing each week. And again, he's only been here since June, and really in June I get very little time, if any, to meet with them. So you really only get to meet with these guys in fall camp. So it's still a process of him knowing the little things about us and that, but the game doesn't care about that. The opponent doesn't care about that. They're going to bring whatever it is, and they're going to bring their exhaustion on 3rd down. You got to plan for it. You got to go execute. And he's done a good job of that this past week. So it's had a very good week of practice. So look forward to him to continue to take steps. But I couldn't be more thrilled with him leading our offense, man. We're not in that. We're not even remotely in that game if he's not playing the way he played last week. He created some stuff. That 1 3rd down, he got stopped short like 2 yards to a yard and a half, and then just willed him to the first down. Things like that, And when the guys look back there, they see him, they're confident. So that's something you can't put a price on.
And my next question is about more so Louisville and the offensive line. The offensive line pretty much dominated and handled Florida pretty well. Coming into this game, is there stuff the offensive line is telling you or seeing that where they can have that same type of success?
Yeah, I thought we did a good job as a staff putting our guys in position to be successful last week. What was not going to be advantageous for us is dropping back 50 times without, and letting those guys tee off and just pass rush, because that's what they want to do. That's what every D-line wants to do. Kept them off balance, I think, decently. Helped our tackles out, with some chips and some things like that. So thought we had a really good plan to protect our guys so the ball could come out, and then trust our guys to go in one-on-ones. These guys are a little different because they're more disruptive. It's much more of a disruptive defense. So we got a good plan. I just want the line to be able to go out there, ID who they need ID, and go play fast. Be fast and violent. And but yeah, that's the number one thing I look for when about what plays to call. Can our line block it? Can our quarterback handle it? If those two people can do it, then everyone else has got to do their job and figure it out.
Gotcha. And then have you teased Gary a little bit, or anybody teased Gary about not having a passing touchdown yet?
No, they wouldn't say that to him. He probably that himself. We've had that bad, so that's coming. That's coming. I mean, we win that game last. All we're worried about is winning the game, and again, that's all that will come. Like I have zero doubt on that. But I think that's a little bit of, game one, like had our at bats, had lots of at bats there, and just didn't connect on opportunities. Game two, same thing, didn't connect, came close. Game three is like a little bit different game, not one that you're going to sit back and just chunk it a lot. But had some good opportunities. Had a couple opportunities that I guess we can't talk about when it comes to like our receiver getting tackled in the end zone. But but no, we're good. Like I said, when I say that aspect, like the mindset, everyone's good. We're doing a good job of practicing, and all that will come.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you, Coach. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate it. Thank y'all for joining us today. We'll talk to you tomorrow.